As a Dark Angels player, I hate to say this, but I think the Space Wolves may have won the refresh competition. We've already seen some cool new stuff for them already with their brand new Grey Hunters, the Blood Claws, the new Head Takers, not to mention their fantastic new Wolf Priest model. But now, today, GW have just knocked it right out of the park with another set of reveals, and this time they have shown off 3 updated characters and a whole new set of Terminators. So I won't lie, I am incredibly, unbelievably jealous. And first up we have the characters. The Wolves, the Space Wolves, they've always been a very character heavy army where you could go in for that hero hammer style vibe. Wasn't always the best way to play them, but certainly with their sagas and their, lore heavy characters, it was a very thematic way to play them. And so there was a lot of concern when this new book came out, and certainly as 10th edition has come along and a lot of stuff has been cut from various books, there was concern about which characters would be staying and which might be getting the chop. And at least a few of your fears can be put to rest after today, because as you can see on the screen, Logan Grimnar, Arjac Rockfist and Njal Stormcaller are all back, and they have got some utterly gorgeous new models. Logan is up first, and I'll be honest, this is quite possibly one of the most imposing Space Marine character models I think we've ever seen. He just looks absolutely mean and grim dark. Gone is the Wolfie Santa Claus inspired model on his sled. Now he is just this really gritty, focused, lethal looking character. I mean, you're looking at a guy here who in one of the books, I can't remember the name of the book, but it's one of the Grey Knight books, where he cuts the head off a Grey Knight Grandmaster before the guy could barely even blink. So he has got a exceptionally hard hitting reputation, and this model lives up to that reputation so hard. Like, you could imagine this guy on the tabletop going 1v1 versus pretty much anyone and coming out on top. His model just speaks to that grim determination absolutely perfectly. I just love his pose. I love the wolves that he has. They are Tyrnak and Fenrir that are also on his base. The update to the Axe Morkai, his weapon, which just looks glorious. Maybe it is just the paint job, but I think the axe looks unbelievably good. The whole thing just does this amazing job at making Logan the really inspiring but grim dark and focused chapter master that he's meant to be. I'll be honest, the one downside about this is that it speaks to me that Leman Russ probably isn't coming back with this refresh and in this edition. Personally, I think the style and the work they've clearly done for Logan means he is meant to be the big centerpiece main character model for the army. And to be honest, with this new kit, this new design, the massive base, he kind of does fit that. Like, he looks every inch about as close to a Primarch as you can get without actually being a Primarch. As I said, his base is enormous. It looks much bigger than 60mm to me anyway, and just the design of it is so intricate and so well put together. If you wanted a really cool centerpiece for your Space Wolves, you don't really need a Primarch at the moment, because this guy is going to fit the bill perfectly. And I think if you want that centerpiece for your Space Wolves, this guy is going to be a must-buy as soon as he goes up for sale. That's not to say I wouldn't love to see Russ, and that I think he probably will come back one day. I just don't think he's coming with this release because, to be honest, they've knocked it out the park with Logan Grimnar, and I honestly think they would struggle to do a better model than this. So I worry if they did do Russ in this release, he might actually end up being overshadowed by the Chapter Master. Next up, we have a character that I actually thought might be going away, and I'm actually really glad he isn't. The ever-faithful Arjac Rockfist is getting a new model, which is brilliant news. What's even better news is that he still looks absolutely brilliant. His old model does have some charm. I've always really liked it, but it is getting on a bit. It is resin, I'm 99% sure, so it really was due an upgrade. And what I really like about him, especially compared to Logan, is they've kept him simple enough. Like, he still looks cool, he still looks special, and you'll be able to pick him out on the tabletop and on your battlefield in the army, but he's not Ragnar, he's not Logan Grimnar. He shouldn't have quite as much ornamentation and bling on him. He is just a more simple, straightforward character that at the end of the day, all he wants to do is kill enemy characters and protect Logan. So he doesn't need all of these fancy pelts and all those bits of jewelry and other bling to get in his way. He just needs his storm shield and he needs his weapon, which is the foe hammer. That's all he needs. That's all he wants. And he just wants to hit people in the face with them. What I also really like about Arjac is they've actually given you 2 build options, which they didn't need to do, and I think it's just a nice touch that they did. You can have him with this stoic build, looking like he's just ready to barrel into the enemy and start swinging his hammer around, or you can build him mid-throw and have his hammer just about to go barreling off into the enemy before it teleports back into his hand. And I do actually really like that. Don't often give credit to GW for doing things that are just little touches like that, but it's something that they didn't need to do, and I think it just adds a bit of uniqueness and flavor to the model. So I do really like it. I imagine most people are going to build him doing the Thor hammer throw, just because that is one of the funnest and most exciting parts of playing with Arjac. They also showed us the new Njal Stormcaller. He has taken a step back actually to his older, I think it was a 2nd edition model. I certainly remember having it when I played in 2nd edition, or at least, seeing it on the battlefield. It might not have been my model, could have been one of my friends. But either way, I have distinct memories of it being there, so I think it is a 2nd edition model. He did actually get a redesign a couple of editions ago to update from his really old model, and he came stomping into the game in some Terminator armor. But now in 10th edition, it looks as though he has decided to go back to that lighter, more versatile runic armor that he had before, which is a really nice throwback. Like, admittedly, the pose is very, very different to how it was before. It looks a lot less goofy, let's be honest, but he's got that really cool, again, stoic pose. He's just standing there in the wind with his cape billowing, and he's just clearly summoning up this storm of eldritch energy, not the warp, just storm powers, to unleash it all on the enemy. So I actually really like this kit. I think it's got a really unique, powerful presence. Like, it's not a very in motion design. Like, he is fairly static, but I think for Njal and for what they were going for with his kind of story in the character, it works really, really well. I love the fact that they have kept so much from that older model though, the old 2nd edition model. He's got the same rune inscribed armor, and it looks like the runes are actually pretty much in the same exact place and design as they were back in 2nd edition. He's got that same kind of split beard. The staff looks the same. Even his faithful companion, Nightwing, has been fairly faithfully recreated with that bionic eye that it has. He does just look amazingly good, and I would say it's another genuinely worthy upgrade alongside Arjac and Logan. So we've got confirmation of those 3 characters at least returning with the new book, which is really, really good. There are still a few characters outstanding, and there are at least 4, in my opinion, that I think are quite likely to go to Legends and not be in the Codex. That is Canis Wolfborn, Harold Deathwolf, Lucas the Trickster, and Crom Dragongaze. I think they are all likely to go. Definitely Lucas and Crom, because they are old and they're just not that important, I'm afraid to say. Canis and Harold, whilst I'm not sure if Thunderwolves are going to go or not, I'm still very much up in the air about that. But I do think the 2 named characters for them will be gone. And if they are still around, they will just be a generic battle leader or a wolf lord on Thunderwolf, rather than either of the named versions. But what is still very much up in the air is the fate of Bjorn the Fell-Handed, of course, who is an older dreadnought, but is obviously very, very important. And I can't see him going away or dying until Leman Russ comes back. I wouldn't be surprised if when Leman Russ does eventually come back for the Space Wolves, that's when Bjorn might die. But if Leman Russ isn't coming back this edition and with this refresh, like I don't think he is, I don't think they will kill off Bjorn just yet or get rid of him. So I do expect him to get a new model, but I think that's still a bit up in the air. The other one is a character that I really love and I hope is still around, and that is Ulrik the Slayer. So I am interested to see what happens with those 2. I'd be interested to see what you guys think will happen with those 2, and also with Canis, Harold, Lucas, and Crom. However, before you go and make any comments down below about your thoughts and theories, there are a few more reveals, because the Space Wolves Wolfguard are also getting a new kit. Now, the Wolfguard that don't become the brand new head takers that we saw the other week, they can instead put on some Terminator armor and take to the field as Wolfguard Terminators. And these guys are a brand new, entirely unique kit. They're not an upgrade sprue, they are essentially like the Dark Angels Deathwing Knight. They are an independent, unique sprue, and that is just incredibly good. We've got 5 that we can see here on your screen now, and as you see, they have a mixture of power axes and power swords and storm bolters. There is an assault cannon, and then we have this incredibly hefty relic great axe that it looks as though the pack leader, the squad leader, can wield. Now, I'm not entirely sure on what the eventual loadout will be, and they weren't completely clear in the article. The article does say they can swap their storm bolters for a storm shield, so maybe you can run a more defensive squad with a load of power swords and power axes and storm shields, or if you wanted to go for a bit more of a shooting heavy list, just keep their storm bolters and their axes or swords. I don't know if you will have to do all one or all the other, or you will be able to mix and match and maybe bring 2 with swords and storm shields and 1 with a storm bolter and power sword. I don't know, we will have to wait and see exactly what the data sheet looks like. But what does seem to be clear is that you are giving up your generic Terminator Power Fist. So I do think, kind of like Chaos Terminators, you will probably not have that Strength 8 2 damage base profile on your regular Terminators. Maybe you will instead have something like Strength 6 on your swords and axes instead. So slightly less damage, but maybe an extra attack or 2. And then we also get confirmation that at least one of them can take a heavy weapon. Again, we only see the assault cannon. I would be surprised if that was the only option, but it doesn't say anything about them being able to take a heavy flamer or a cyclone missile launcher. So it depends what we're going to get in the kit, because I think that will very much determine what you can build and play them as. I actually personally think it would be quite cool if they had some kind of frost cannon weapon, like the Dark Angels have the plasma cannon. If these guys had a frost cannon loadout, just to add some more punch from that perspective that was a bit more fluffy and thematic for the squad. The other option, of course, is they could go way back to the old days of 2nd edition. Someone correct me if I'm wrong, because it has been a long time, but I'm pretty sure that back in the day, Space Wolf Terminators could bring a cyclone missile launcher and an assault cannon on the same model, which obviously they're not going to do, but that would be kind of hilarious. The final option for the squad is this pack leader, who is the squad leader essentially, and the article does say that they can take either a great axe or the lightning claws, so it does look as though there will be some restrictions. It looks as though the pack leader will have to have one of those options. I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case. So you either get this big, hefty great axe, or you get the more chaff clearing lightning claws. It doesn't look as though this squad is going to be quite as customizable as it was before. I certainly don't see any indication that you are going to be able to equip the whole squad like an essentially new Assault Terminator squad. It makes no comment about being able to run the lot with all Thunderhammer Storm Shields or Power Axe and Storm Shields, or give lightning claws to any of the regular dudes or anything like that. But it does look as though there will be maybe at least some mixing and matching still available to you, which I'll just say as a Deathwing player, I am very, very, very jealous about. In any case, whatever they have loadout wise, I do think they look cool. I love the pelts and the trinkets that they each have. I love the look of the power swords and the power axes. I really love the fact that they all look like they are going to at least have the option of this more feral, unhelmeted option on the build of them. You probably will be able to give them all helmets if you want, but I like the fact that you do have this bare head option by the looks of it, with enough heads to have all of them with no helmet. And then just the pack leader himself, the pack leader with lightning claws, does look absolutely brutal. So I'm really, really excited to see these guys on the battlefield, and also to see their datasheet to just see how much customization is available to them. And that is going to be it for today. Just a quick video to look at these stunning new models and have a few thoughts about what that means for the army as the codex does eventually come out. But as always, I'd really love to know your thoughts on these releases and what else you are thinking we might or that you would like to see for the Space Wolves when their codex does come out. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, and as always, thank you very much for watching. Please do like and subscribe for more Warhammer content from me, but until next time, I'll catch you later, guys.